Welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show. Another exciting show, definitely another exciting guest. Today we're going to go Fort Lauderdale, Florida, to talk to a young lady. Let me tell you where this story is about to go. Imagine, if you will, losing a parent. In this case, both parents. And it's funny because I'm going to throw myself in this mix real quick before we introduce this beautiful young lady. Mother's Day was just last week. And I kind of went into a slump, and my mother's been deceased for quite some time, but you still go into those, I won't call it dark places. You just go into them places. Let me use this word, the what if factor. What if they were here? What would have maybe been different with my life's path? Maybe picking the wrong spouse, maybe the wrong husband or wife, spouse is what it boils down to, or maybe just picking the wrong decisions in life. And somehow along the line, nobody seems to really ask the tough questions like, what did you go through? How did you pull through? And more importantly, what are you still going through when these moments happen, when they surface? We have a tendency to show up at funerals and then we disappear from each other's lives, and we give them that, I hope you do good. Or this is the big one. Call me if you need me. And usually when this happens, we don't call, but to me, why don't you take the time to call me? Because you said you're trying to understand what I'm going through. Today, this is probably going to be a very impactful story because this is a story of a young lady who's lost both parents. And the questions that she asked is pretty much the same questions that I would ask somebody. Let's welcome to the show, all the way from Fort Lauderdale, Miss Donna Celender. What's up, baby girl?
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good. I see you in your safe place, right?
I am.
I asked you, why are you in the car? And you said, that's my safe place. But we're going to get into that in a minute. So before we get started on this journey, and my deepest condolence for the loss of your parents, I know you will never be able to get over the loss of both of them, but my prayers go to you as well as my strengths. Tell me a little bit about who you are before we get into this story.
Okay. I'm really nobody special. I'm just your ordinary person trying to get through life. I have a mom of two. I've been married 25 years. And prior to this story, I was my father's, his best friend, but I was also his caregiver for 5 years. So that was my life. I took care of the family, and in return, everybody else kind of took care of me.
You said you was your father's caregiver, but you lost both parents in the same, you lost both parents. How did you lose both parents without, getting too deep? But which one, evidently did you lose your mom first or was?
I lost them 6 months apart. My dad was first, and then my mom was second.
Wow. What was your life like before being the caregiver for your parents? Did they have a robust life? What did the illness just all of a sudden
Nah,
come out of
my
nowhere?
life was
What was
great.
life like before all this?
My life was great. My life was looking back now, I mean, it couldn't have gotten any better. My dad lived with us, so he was very much a part of my children's lives from the time that they were born. He didn't get sick. He eventually got dementia. About 80, when he hit about 80, he got dementia. I would say those were the hard years. but like everything was great. I mean, we would pick up the kids together from school and we'd go have lunch and we'd come home and everybody would chill and we'd do dinner together. And I don't know, my life was very much just what my dream would be, except I didn't know it then, but I realize it now when I say, God, what did you do? You know, what happened? This isn't what I planned for, but little did I know that he had already given me everything that I had asked for. What I should have asked for is that he let me keep it for a long time. But and my mom and dad were separated. They were best friends. My mom had moved on. My dad stayed by himself, well, with us. And but they were best friends, and we all lived within 3 miles from each other. So our lives were very much integrated with everything that we do. So when my dad passed, it was a blow to everybody, to us all.
You mentioned that your dad lived with you. Was there a reason that he lived with you versus living on his own, where he's showing early signs of the
Um,
illness, or what?
well, we were just best friends. And so from the time I was 18, my dad was a snowbird. He would come here to Florida with me for 6 months and he would go back to Pennsylvania for 6 months. So we did that our whole lives. And then eventually the dementia started hitting him. And so he stayed full time and we shut down his place in Pennsylvania. That was right before COVID.
Oh, right before COVID. How did you know that the early signs? And I'm doing this not to, you know, make you kind of relive everything, but to let other
Huh.
people know these are some signs that you may be looking out for with the care of your own parents or somebody in your
Oh,
family. Like, what were some of the things that was he was demonstrating? Because you said he was a snowbird coming from Pennsylvania to Fort Lauderdale.
yep, yep. Uh, Sometimes he'd say stuff like, um, I don't know. He'd ask the same question twice. And that's when I realized he forgot that he was asking the question. Um, he would forget his stuff a lot, you know, like things that he would never forget, like his wallet. His wallet, his number one go-to. I know to be true now, most people with dementia and or Alzheimer's have a control issue with their wallets. So as soon as you start hearing your loved one start asking about where's their wallet or where did they put it or where's the remote control, those were some sure tell signs.
How was your mom impacted knowing that they were good friends? Now,
Mm.
did your mom moved on, but did she stay in Pennsylvania or did she relocate to Fort Lauderdale?
Okay, so when I was a child, my mom moved on and came here to Florida, and my dad stayed in Pennsylvania. So my life also was back and forth for my whole life. Eventually, I planted roots here in Florida and stayed here where my mom was a few miles from me. When my dad would come down, we would all just live as if, you know, like they were just friends and never married. And the significant other did not care. He was a great guy. You know, we were all just very, very family rooted. We were really tied. And when my dad passed, my mom and my sister came with me to the place. He was found in his room 8 hours after he had been passed, and he was in a 24-hour assisted living facility at this point. They were supposed to do room check ins every 2 hours, and they missed over 4 room check ins for my father. The only reason I would have known any of this is because he had just been placed there for 3 weeks due to doctor's orders. Don't ever listen to the doctors. I'm sorry, just my opinion. Um, and I was going for breakfast with him that day, and it was like 10 a.m. and I'd called his phone and he didn't answer. And then this whole series of events lined up, and eventually we had found him. My mom came and you asked how did she handle it. There is
Yeah.
no greater pain than to watch your mom hit the floor on her knees and hug his body. And she said something that didn't make sense to me then and still kind of doesn't now, but she whispered to him, "I'll see you real soon." And it never sat well with me. And then 6 months later, she went.
Now, did she pass away with the same complications or something totally different?
I personally think she died of a broken heart. But if you were to ask
Hmm.
the autopsy, they're calling it a heart attack.
I can't fathom having somebody in assistant living, and I worked in assistant living, so I can understand some of the things that you're talking about because I personally witnessed some things like that as as an activities director going into work, and a lady was sitting right there in her feces, and I'm thinking to myself, your fucking lights going off. You know what I mean? They need service. So when you found out that your father, and let me go here for the listeners so they can understand where I'm going.
Yeah.
They need to know what you went through, the feel. This is
Mm.
somebody that the doctor said, go to these people,
Mm-hmm.
these people you put your trust into, and your
Mm-hmm.
father lay there unattended for 8 freaking, let me call it like that, 8 fucking hours. I would
Yeah.
be fucking going off in that nursing home. What happened when you find out that it was 8 hours? Because I'm pretty sure they was trying to camouflage the
You have no
delay
idea.
on when he passed. They didn't want that information to leak out. How did
No.
it leak out, and then what was the repercussions without going too deep?
Nah. It all, I'll make it very easy for you. I didn't give up. They absolutely camouflaged a lot of things. I did not give up. Make that be the clear sentence here. Eventually, there was a lawsuit and a settlement, which was a complete and total utter disappointment and joke. However, at least I didn't give up, and I only wanted to do that.
Right.
So it was written on paper, so other people that looked up the facility would know that they had had previous problems. So
I
yeah,
mean, how do you even come to somebody and say, we're sorry for not attending to your dad and he laid
they
there
didn't.
for 8 hours? My question here is, we know he had the illness of dementia and Alzheimer's, but the thing about it is, if they had to done their job correctly and effectively, would he had still been here is the question.
And
According to doctors in the report. What do you
that was the question, and that was my thing was like, when people have heart attacks, there's certain things you're supposed to do. I think what if you get like a certain aspirin or something in your body within 30 minutes or something like that, or is that the stroke? Whatever it is, there were things in place that they could have done to help, if only call for paramedics. And the fact that there was never a call at all, it was just the paramedics said by the time they got there and they found his body, it was already, you know, too far.
so he was already almost in rigor mortis,
Yep.
basically when they got
Yes,
there.
that's what they wrote. Yes, rigor mortis. Yeah. And this is a place that not only was I told by doctors that I was going against their professional advice by keeping my father at home. So I did that because I never had an intention of putting any of my parents in any kind of care. They ever, but the doctor just would not let up on me. And so
Well, what did the
fast
doctor
forward,
wind up doing once?
he said
Not,
that
not
I'm
to catch
one
up, but what did the
person.
doctor?
The doctor said that I'm one person and anybody with an illness like this needs hands-on 24-hour care. And as much as I love my father, that I would not be able to be there through all hours of the day, it would be impossible. I was a mom of two small children, yada, yada, yada. And yeah, so much for their 24-hour
Did he
care,
take?
huh?
Did the doctor take any accountability for his suggestion,
None.
knowing that you
None.
you did that and he didn't get 24-hour care?
Nope.
You know what I mean? Matter of fact, they left him laying there for 8 hours.
And I paid $2,800 a month to have him there. Figure that out. People don't know. Let me tell you, people don't know. And just because you brought this all up, I have to give you a background he ended up being there a total of 6 weeks. This
Mhm.
place is a facility of, say, 200 people, 2 floors, so say 100 on each floor, free roam, because my father would still communicate, could still walk, could still all of that. He just couldn't remember where was his wallet, where's his keys, where's his basic stuff, change his clothes, whatever. He needed reminders. They knew that he was going there because he needed reminders. And that was the
Right.
2-hour room check, was that he still got to be by himself. He still had his own independence, but these people would come every 2 hours. And the thought process was, how much trouble could he get into in 2 hours, right? It'd be like a child. How much trouble can they get into
Yeah.
in this room? Clearly more
Mhm.
than enough. So I would go there. I went there daily. When I tell you daily, I mean as if I went there, as if I belonged there. I went there daily. I would stay 3-4 hours with my dad. I would take him and the other patients to like Walmart and stuff and get them what they need, because they're all stuck up in the rooms. They have no family. Nobody comes to visit these people. I knew all of the people that performed there and did games, and the banquet room and the breakfast room. I was alert. I was looking for all of those signs. I was in there as if I belonged there, because to me, I couldn't put my dad there if I wouldn't be there. And it still doesn't make sense to me how I should have known that, like, if you have 3 nurses, you can't cover 200 people. You are completely understaffed. I would have never
Wow.
thought about these things until it happened to me.
When it happened to you, I'm pretty sure you had that beast mindset and you went full military action with news, press, and so forth. How bad did they go to try to keep their name out of the
It took
press and
me
the
a
media? I'm pretty
year and a
sure.
half. A year and a half of fighting.
Really.
Yeah. 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 It's really hard to fight for a dead person. Where they went wrong, and I think they knew that right off the bat, was that I was very much involved. So I had already had
Mhm.
contacted the other people on the floor that I would come see and bring Gatorade for them and snacks and whatever. And they were able to tell me and confirm all of these things of which I had pieced together. So from there, they were just doomed. They were doomed.
Now,
Not too doomed,
when it
because
was settled,
they're still up and running. So I didn't hurt them too bad.
now did they make it where you couldn't mention the company's name because you're
Probably.
fighting to expose who they are? But they're in Fort
Yeah.
Lauderdale. We can at least say they're in Fort.
Oh,
Wow.
fuck that. We can say they're
Do
in
your
Margate,
research.
Florida.
They're in Margate, Florida.
Margate,
Wow.
Florida. Stay away if you want your parents alive. It's just gross.
How did
It's so gross. So you
you
can
you put on
imagine
your question?
what?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was gonna
Go
say,
ahead.
you can
Go ahead. You was
imagine
talking.
you were trying to figure out where my mom and dad link at. So you can imagine
Yeah.
at 6 months in, I'm fighting lawyers and places about my father's death, right? I am fucking gone. I mean, I wasn't sociable. There was no eating, there was no sleeping, I'm talking about chest pains in the fucking hospital every week, thinking I'm having a heart attack, and they kept saying it's anxiety. And 6 months in, I get a knock at the door by people telling me that my mom was found dead in her garage. Heart attack.
But your mom had moved on with another spouse, right? With somebody else, right?
But she lived 3 miles from us.
How are all of you guys coping with dealing with the lawsuit and the wrongful death of your father? Now seeing your mother go through her situation. You're close with her new husband or her new companion, and you mentioned you have your own children and 25 years of marriage. How are you not? And these are questions that people need to understand. Like,
Mm.
where was your support group outside of that?
Didn't have one. I didn't have one. Like, let me be very loud and clear when I tell you. Maybe that's the reason I stumbled upon you and your invite and all of this. And I really believe in the universe and things are supposed to come together. And I really believe that we manifest certain things. And uh, my mom had 3 kids, 3 kids, old kids, but kids. So 3 living heirs. Okay, this is crazy. And she had her significant other, right? They were not legally
Right.
married. The law stated in Florida that whatever my mom had would go to the 3 living heirs. No matter what I did, there was no stopping that. There was a lot of fighting for many years. I held the house and everything back as long as I could, and eventually everybody trumped me, and we ended up having to sell her property. The significant other refuse to try to keep it, refinance it, borrow against it, pay off some of the siblings so they can get their portion and be on with their life. He refused to do anything. So the end of it came. The house was sold. He has not spoken to any of us. He was in my life for 34 years. He was equivalent to a second dad, if I was going to say it out loud. And he's gone.
I tell people all the time, people show their true colors during these times: death, divorce, and money.
Yeah.
They show who they really are. And once again, let me go back to this question. Here's another situation that happened that shows you what death can do to somebody. But now that's another additional thing on your plate, and you still don't have a support group. Well, you do. You're married. What about
Oh,
your
so
husband?
wait, yeah, yes, but for easy conversation, let's just say that I'm separated, that we're all just coexisting because that's the best channel of living at that point. Okay? So
Right.
I had zero support group. But I will tell you what I did. One day I got on social media and I made a post and I was broken. And I made a post, and for whatever reason, I posted it. And the post went viral. Not for whatever reason. It was about my father and dementia and don't place your parents. And it went viral. And fast forward for the next 2 years, I had used Facebook as my support group. Facebook had become my outlet. Facebook was just the place that I would go in every moment. And yeah, I would tell you that social media was positive for me. And outside of that, because I didn't really know I was doing that until you see how it all
Right.
unfolded, right? You don't really know, just like I don't really know why I'm talking to you right now. But but what did I do in my personal life? I ran to a group called Grief Share as fast as I could when I heard about it. And I
Mhm.
spent a long time there. But I would
You
tell
created
you,
something called Donna. You created a platform called Donna Go. What was the reason you did it out of an outlet for yourself, pretty much?
yeah, yeah.
But let me go back one more time. Where was your husband during all of these trials? He lived with you. You guys were close knit. So, I mean, it would appear to me that you have children during the time that he needed to be there. He should have been there.
Well, for conversation's sake, let's say that in his own way, he tried to keep the place afloat. He tried to keep the groceries coming in. He tried to keep the cars and the finances, whatever, which was terrible. But, um, no, I would absolutely not ever tell you or anybody else that my marriage was even remotely okay. I cried to strangers. I cried on social media. I cried at a grief share group. No, I absolutely did not feel like he was there for me in any way, shape, or form. Looking back,
Did the marriage did the
no, we're
marriage
still
suffer because
squirting
of
it.
the, like what I'm getting ready to say is, did the marriage start to shift when you was dealing with your father's transformation and your father's passing and your mom, or was it pretty much already shifted during that transition?
Well, you got to think the transition was 2 years of my dad living with us with dementia. So I think we had already shifted, right? My time was just full on kids and my dad. There was nothing else coming outside of that. You know what I mean? Whatever was, me and him were coexisting at that point.
Hmm. I get you. My
Life.
question is, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, you were saying something about life. Go ahead. This is about you. So, what are you getting ready to say about life?
I don't. I lost my thought completely because you went back to who was my support group. And I think there wasn't one. I think I would just tell you and everybody else that in the worst time of your life, you were saying earlier, people show their true colors. And I promise you, be it now that I know, it will happen, at your worst times when you really need them. And yeah, you're going to have to find your own support group. The people that you thought would be there for you, they're just, I don't know if they are or they aren't, but like, I don't know. Imagine this, dude. Could you imagine walking into your kitchen and seeing your wife on the floor every day, just broken?
No,
Plus, you got two
but I
kids,
think
a job. I don't know.
I would to give insight. Some people may not know how to deal with the situation. It's not that they don't care. Let's give it some thought for a minute. It's an old saying, you don't know nothing until you're forced to be put in it. So they see from afar, but they might ask themselves, what can I really do? I don't know. I don't have the tool or the mindset to walk in your shoes.
I would say that I just snapped at that point, whatever that would really mean, but I would say that my brain just cut off. And I would say that we go into survival mode. It's a real thing.
Mhm. What about your daughters? You got two daughters, right?
I have a boy and a girl.
Boy and a girl.
They're,
What?
they're good.
How do you? How do they deal with the passing of their grandfather that lived with them and their grandmother? Like, how do you keep them focused and tell them that's a part of life?
Well, uh, I don't. I don't tell them it's a part of life. I tell them it's inevitable, but I very much share with them. Well, I couldn't hide it. I couldn't hide that pain. You can't hide that. No matter who you are, you're not hiding that. So they got to experience it
Hmm.
firsthand. And, I mean, I just drag them along with me. I go to the cemetery every couple weeks still. I do the plot. I take care of all the planting. And I mean, I just, holidays come, I speak about them, I post about them. I very much keep them. People want you to forget. People want you to move on. People people think that you should move on. And what I say to that is you couldn't have possibly known the kind of love that I had because you wouldn't be able to move on. You wouldn't want to move on. That isn't a love that you have and you forget about. It's a love that you carry with you. And I think if people would
Hmm.
have told me that, maybe I could have compartmentalized it a little bit differently. But
Hmm.
I just carry them with me everywhere.
Now, let me go back one more time here. You mentioned siblings. On your dad's side and your mom's side, did you have other brothers and sisters?
My dad had 5, my mom had 3, but we were all actually raised together in the same house because remember, my mom and dad were married for 14 years. So
Yeah.
theoretically, we were a family of 5, 7. And where are my siblings? I would say that we all shit the bed. I would say that everybody quit on everybody and everybody just started fending for themselves and whatever that meant.
Right.
And nobody could handle talking to me because it wasn't a conversation. It was just nothing but sadness.
Were
So I
they as
triggered
close
them.
to? Were they?
They,
Why wasn't they closer to your dad, like and your mom, like you were?
they think they were. They think they were in
Oh,
their own ways. I was confused with that.
okay.
It's crazy that you asked that because I was so confused when both of them died because I just thought like they were our parents. We all grew up with them. We would know how to honor them. We would know what to do. We would all agree because they're our parents and they probably told us all the same things. And what I didn't know and only found out through grief share is that everybody seems to have their own, how there's like 3 sides to a story, the truth, the other
Everybody has their
person.
own version.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I would say mom would want this, and they would say no, she wouldn't. I would say mom would never want us to sell her home. She would want us to keep it for the grandkids and keep her memory living on. They would say it's just a piece of property. She doesn't care. I would say, mom doesn't want to be burned. She wants to be buried. And they would say, well, she didn't want to live with the worms. I mean, it wasn't just I buried 2 people. I can't even minimize that, but it wasn't even that minimum. It was like my parents died, my siblings fell off, the marriage is fucking terrible, the kids need things and I'm not focused at all. And it was just that for a very, very, very long time. Very long time.
So, how did you wind up being the? How did you wind up being the negotiator for your parents' afterlife, so to speak? If they
I was
if
the
they all had
baby.
so many different variations,
I don't
yeah. How
know.
did you wind up being delegated to basically take everything? Did you just say, "Okay, I'm gonna take the beast mindset and run it"? Because you guys' versions is nothing like what dad wanted. Because I deal with dad every single day. I deal with mom every single day.
Yes. 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 I fought. And that's what I mean. Like, I didn't just fight to stay alive. Like, that was hard enough. Like, just fighting to give a fuck about staying here on planet Earth without them. But then it was like I had to fight my siblings. I had to fight for my mom and for my dad. And it was just like, fuck, I'm fighting to breathe. I'm fighting to want to wake up tomorrow for my kids. And yeah, there was all of these outside circumstances that nobody knows about and nobody talks about. And then you're in it and you're just like, I don't know. You just
When
fight.
you look back at when you look back at that, what was at least 3 of the most difficult moments that you had to deal with your siblings as it related to making decisions of moving on and making sure everybody's at peace?
Nobody's at peace. There is no peace, sir. There will be no peace. See, that's just it. They tricked you. People trick each other and they tell you, well, I'll be at peace when mom's estate is settled. And I'll be at peace when they're buried. And I'll be at peace when the kids get whatever they're supposed to have. And it's just like every single time we hit a platform of this happened, okay, this happened, there was no peace. There was no peace. There's no fucking peace in my family. My family is broken and destroyed. And no matter how much I talk, no matter how much I post, no matter how much I try, there is just no rebuilding this. There's just, it's done. They say when the matriarch of your family falls off, well, they didn't say when both of them fall off. Like, and then you would think that the oldest child is supposed to take the head runner, right? Because you're the oldest child. This is what you were born for. And it didn't happen because, unfortunately, what I didn't say is my sister, right after my mom died, 6 months later, got diagnosed with a terminal illness. So added that on top of everything, and nobody gave a shit about anybody. Everybody's just trying to survive still.
Your sister has now a terminal illness.
Well, she had breast cancer when my mom was alive, and then right after my mom died, she got diagnosed with, she hates when I say it because I don't say it right. She got diagnosed with metastasis breast cancer. It came back in the bones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So add
are
that
you
monkey
the
wrench.
caregiver?
No, she
Are
doesn't
you
really
now the
want too much
caregiver
to
for
do with me. No. Mm-mm.
knowing that your father and your mom, especially let's stick with your father for a minute, knowing that your father was going through these to these states of dementia and Alzheimer's, and your mom started to decline, why didn't
No,
they
my mom
step
was
up
perfect.
and but why didn't your siblings step up with your dad,
I begged them.
knowing that
When I
so you
took
guys
my
went
dad
from
to the
a
doctor, when
right?
I took my dad to the doctor, and the guy did that ridiculous dementia test. It's like 3 words, remember it. An hour, 20 minutes later, he asks you for it again. He did the test on my dad, and my dad remembered it. Meanwhile, he had dementia. But he did a test on me, and I couldn't answer them. I couldn't answer any of them. And he literally diagnosed me, if I was his patient at that time, with onset of dementia. It's called, like, I guess there's a thing of dementia when you're too stressed that it can actually
Mm-hmm.
become like dementia. And that's what they diagnosed me, like, unprofessionally. And nobody came to the rescue. I mean, my mom tried. My mom tried a lot. My mom would go out to lunch.
Mm-hmm.
They would go to the racetrack. My mom did a lot. My mom did a lot. My brother was still in Pennsylvania, and my sister, I'd say that she showed up towards the end, like the end, like didn't know. I don't know. I can't answer that. That's between them and God. And I fought every single day to try to make as many people as I could come around my dad, to try to keep him active in the family. I tried very hard to, have people chime in, take him for a little while. At one point, my brother took him for 3 days and sent him back to Florida. 3 days. He gave me 3 days
He sent them
of,
back to Florida.
yeah,
He sent
yeah,
them back to Florida on an airplane,
yes, yes,
knowing that
back and
he
forth.
had dementia,
Yes, it was really bad.
knowing that he had
Yes,
been diagnosed.
yes,
That's crazy. What if your dad had got lost in the airport?
yes. And again, it was just an utter fucking cluster of shit. It really was. It was shit. There was nothing that went smooth. There was no relationship left. No relationship has been left untouched. So I sit here today
before we
and, you know, I hate to even like talk about like that's my story because I don't really want to own that. However, uh, there's a lot of people that have it way worse. And I learned that there's a lot of people that have never felt the unconditional love that I had from my parents. And so for those people, I say, I'm sorry.
So, Donna, when you got all of this information, the loss of your father, the disconnection with family, you got to see how people really are. How do you begin to really move on with your life? You last said, all you can do is say you're sorry for everything that people go through and what yourself went through. But how do you begin to move on with your own life?
Got a clue. That's actually where I'm at right now. I'm I'm at a pivot. I feel like I'm at a stop and I just don't know which way to go right now and I'm just really talking to God as much as I can and just telling him that, you got me here. You're going to get me wherever I'm going. I can't see that, but you can and I don't know, I'm just really winging it. I'm just waking up every day and trying to improve myself and feel better about myself and watch what I'm putting in my body, except coffee. um, and trying to exercise and I'm just trying to figure out the only thing I can possibly maybe control is what I do with whatever time I have here left. I don't know.
It seems to be a very difficult process for you at this point. I deeply understand that the loss of your father and your mom, and nobody's really there. But some people would say it's cool to believe in God and the universe and so forth, but you got free will. You're going to have to you have to take some initiative with what you have to do to move on.
So I would say to that, we all have a story, and maybe doing what I can is simply just talking to people and letting them know that, they don't have to be alone and, insider tips of how to survive agonizing pain. Um, Even if that doesn't seem like a lot to somebody else, maybe that's it. Maybe that's my journey. Maybe that's what I'm here for. Maybe it's not what I ever wanted to be. I never wanted to be an orphan. I never thought that I would be discussing the death of my family, but like, it's a huge thing and nobody's talking about it.
Now, did you say you have children, correct? How are you
Too.
managing to keep your mental condition from affecting them?
I can't say that I am. I would like to lie to you and tell you, oh yeah, I'm doing it, I'm pushing, I'm lying, I'm, hiding the feelings, but I'm not. I'm not trying to protect them. I'm not even trying to cushion them from this pain because I would imagine that what I feel with my parents, my kids are probably feeling double for me. And if that's the case, I don't want them to ever go into this and think it is not going to be a fight every day. Like I don't want to deceive them. I feel like my parents deceived me. I feel like they never told me, "Hey Donna, there's some things you're going to have to brace for in life." And one of those things, is going to just wreck you and it's going to bring you to your knees, it's going to rock you to your core and I just don't feel like anybody ever told me that and I wouldn't want that to sneak up on anybody.
But even if they had told you, death, no matter how we look at it, is going to come for us all. I don't think you could prepare anybody for it because it's going to happen. And life, as well as we know it, will go on with or without you.
Yeah, I mean that's all very true. But what nobody tells you is that when you lose whoever your person is, um, they don't tell you that you're going to question your own sanity, like over everything. You are going to question your entire existence. You are going to question where you've been till now, what you're supposed to do. You're going to question if you even believe in God. And I just lost my train of thought, but it was to bring it back to your thing, your question. Um, it's not preparing you. There's no preparation. I mean, when your heart hits that breaking point, that's it. I mean, it's a physical pain. It's real and it's raw. But if I would have known, like, hey, it's gonna flatline you. Like, if they would have said, I didn't share with you how it felt when I lost my parents. You know what I mean? We hid that from you or whatever. Or, hey, it took me however many years to be able to talk about it without tears or whatever. It was just death was not talked about in my family. It was taboo. It was taboo. And that's the problem is that you said it before. We are evidently all going to experience death. So why don't we speak about it? Why are we scared of the subject?
What do you think before we wrap up? What do you think that they would have told you to prepare? What do you think was missing? What would have made your journey different if when they had died? What do you think that they would have told you that would have made your life different? I'm gonna go here. When my mom was taken from me, I was very young. Nobody sat down and talked to me. I had to deal with it. I had to move on. I had to move on. It took some time. Everybody heals in their own time. But at the end of the day, life still went on. It was up to me to say, am I going to bask in the sorrow? I'm going to look at it, research it, and find that peace and be able to move on. Because I think that's what they will want us to do.
I don't think it's sorrow. I mean, to you and the rest of the world, it might look that way, but I think it's love. I don't feel that I'm crying because I'm the only one, ooh-hoo, that lost my parents. It was never that. It was never like I'm the exception and I'm the only one that's ever felt this pain. It was more like, God, I loved them so much. I love them so much. Every tear is just it's just pure love. I couldn't stop it if I wanted to. So I don't think that we move on, and I think that that would have been it. I think if they would have told me, you're going to think you're going crazy, you're going to lose sight of everything you thought you had control over. And the only thing that you have to know is two things. You're not going to die, and one day again, you will be okay.
Your father passed away. If I remember, you said he had is it early stage of Alzheimer's or dementia.
Yeah.
Now, from what I understand, that's difficult. When
Mm-hmm.
people have those illnesses, would you really want them to suffer, or would you rather for them, if they believe in a spiritual journey, what no matter what it is, that there's a better place? Because when we was talking, you said, "Hey, if there's something, blah blah blah, I got a big imagination." So why wouldn't you be? I understand the love, and I'm not trying to minimize this in any way, shape, form, or fashion, because I miss my mom every single day, but I have to go on. The bottom line is, don't you think that he's in a better place and he wants, and your mom want you to say, hey, we're cool, live your life?
Do you want the truth?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care. Like,
What do you mean you don't care? Don't care about what?
I don't, we're still here on this planet. And as far as I ever knew, for all of the years I've been on this planet, these humans, aka mom, dad, could be sister, brother, kid, whomever we're speaking about, um, we've been connected. And so for people to tell me, or anyone, to move on from not something that was bad, to move on, not something that was, poison or that was not going to benefit in your life, but to move on from love, from family, from everything I learned, from the good, the bad, the ugly. I mean, in essence, what you're saying to me is forget your entire existence and start
I never
over.
said forget your existence. You're
No,
mixing.
not you.
Oh,
No, not you. Theoretically, what I'm saying
oh,
is, for me, it feels like what somebody is saying is, you have to start over, and I feel like I've already started over kind of enough, and I'm proud of where I came from, and I'm proud of who they created me to be. So, like, I don't know, people get trophies and they go on TV for awards and they do all of these Emmys and things, right? And it's a continuous thing. It's not just one time and then, right? I mean, you could continue to get awards and Emmys and all of these things. Like, why shouldn't our parents? Like, even in death, why shouldn't they? Like, they did it all. They did the hard job. They're the only reason I'm here.
well, and
They're the only reason I
you
had
are
kids.
the award. You are the Emmy. But at the end of the day, you still got to move on. Nobody
Well, I
said
mean,
forget.
define move on.
Nobody said forget. It means
Define move on.
move on means to remember them and be mentally and emotionally prepared. That's just part of life. You're not going to bring them back, and especially if your children are seeing what it has on you, then don't you think that they're going to be just as much traumatized if something happened to you and you're saying that you wish your parents had did this and did this? Well, your children are looking at the effects that it's having on you.
So they're not going to have to question, like I did, if they were going crazy. And they're not going to have to hide and not talk about their pain or their grief because their mom very much reached out to the community, to their peers, to my family. What I hope that I will have left my children and my social media with is that you don't have to be quiet. And just because somebody thinks that it's time for you to move on, even if they have your best interest at heart, your heart and your brain will eventually catch up to each other, and eventually you will slowly move forward. I'm not going to say move on. And I just think that that's going to happen in your own time for everybody. There's no timetable for grief. There just isn't.
And you're right. I mean, everybody heals at their own. I hope that you find that journey and that you find that comfort zone that's going to make you whole within yourself and never forgetting your mom and dad. And naturally, you got an undying love for them. But at the end of the day, this is your journey. I wish you the best on that journey. I hope that the fans that are listening supports that journey and not judged. But, like you said, everybody's got to heal on their own time. Um, Thank you so much for taking time to come on the show and to share such a beautiful beast-minded story of love and affection for your parents. Um, Ladies and gentlemen, make sure you subscribe, like, share, click that button. Sometimes all it takes is one click to make a difference in your life or change somebody else's life. This has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Creighton Show.